Knowing how to get out of an airport is a very important information for any traveler, and when the airport is as big and intimidating as Madrid Airport, even more so. In today's video we're going to provide you a smooth passage through the airport by explaining how to get out of the airport and get to the center of Madrid. Hola, ¿qué tal? I am Tony Galvez from Road Trip Spain and Portugal, where we help you plan the perfect trip with practical information and insider tips. Indeed, Madrid's airport is quite large, and those unfamiliar can feel intimidated by it. We hope that when you finish watching the video, you will feel much more at ease than before. There are quite a few things you need to know, which is why we have divided the video into 4 main parts. First, a quick introduction to the airport and its terminals. Second, a presentation of the main means of transport to and from the airport to Madrid. Third, step-by-step instructions on how to get out of each airport terminal. And fourth, a comparison of the different transport alternatives. We will close the video with a very valuable tip for a smooth departure from the airport. Let's first find our bearings. Madrid's only airport is northeast of the city center. Its official name is Adolfo Suárez Madrid Barajas Airport, and it is also known simply as Barajas Airport. Its IATA code is MAD, M-A-D. The airport has 4 runways around which 5 terminals are arranged. Terminals 1, 2 and 3 are part of the same building and correspond to the original older airport. Terminals 4 and 4S, opened in the 21st century, are in a different part of the airport, some distance from each other. We'll have to zoom in on the terminals to share 2 important pieces of information when planning your departure from the airport. If your flight arrives at T4S, you should be aware that public transport does not reach the terminal. As its name suggests, T4 Satellite, it is an isolated terminal. To leave the airport, you will have to get on a free train that will take you to T4, the terminal where you will collect your luggage and access the different public transport options. We have a video on the channel in which we explain in detail how to go from T4S to T4. The second piece of information you need to know is that if you arrive at T1, T2 or T3 and want to use the airport train, you will have to go to T4. The distance between T1, T2 and T3 and T4 is too far to walk. You'll use a free airport shuttle bus, which we'll talk about in the video. Alright, so having made the clarifications about the terminals, here comes the good news. Madrid Airport is very well connected to the city center by public transport, with numerous options: metro, train, express bus, conventional buses, long distance buses, taxis and ride-sharing vehicles. We will first talk about each of these transport options and then visit each terminal to see how to reach each of these options. Madrid Airport has 2 metro stations. Line L8 Pink, the airport line, passes through both stations. The first station leaving the airport is at T4 and serves those arriving at T4 or T4S. Leaving T4, the metro has a station in the city of Barajas, and the line continues to the second airport station, which is at T2 and is for those arriving at T1, T2 or T3. Now let's see where the airport metro takes you. We already know what the first 3 stations are. After the airport, the next station is Feria de Madrid, followed by Mar de Cristal, where you can connect with line 4. Then Pinar del Rey, Colombia, where you can connect with line 9. And finally Nuevos Ministerios, the last station on the line, where you can connect with lines 6 and 10. Nuevos Ministerios is north of the tourist center of Madrid, so it is more than likely that your accommodation won't be close to the station. Therefore, if you choose to take the metro from the airport, you will almost certainly have to connect to another metro line to get to your accommodation. The line you should connect with will depend a lot on the location you want to go. If you have any doubts, ask us and we will try to explain what would be the best combination of lines in your case. Remember that we already have a video on the channel explaining how to get from the airport to Puerta del Sol and Gran Via, two addresses with many hotels. The Madrid Metro runs from Monday to Sunday, even on public holidays, from 6 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. Let's see how to buy tickets to travel on the Madrid Metro. To use public transport in Madrid, you must have a multi-card, which is the e-card on which you load your tickets. All the journeys you make in Madrid by metro or bus will be paid for with a multi-card. It is like a virtual wallet in which you keep your ticket. As with a real wallet, you can use a single multi-card to pay for the journeys of several people as long as you have credit on the card. Let's go to the machines to see how to buy the multi-card and load the tickets. The machines are clearly marked with a Metro logo on the front. On the initial screen, select the English language on the upper right corner. Touch on Purchase Transport Card. On the next screen, select Airport. Next, you need to choose the type of ticket you will be loading in the multi-card. We advise you to choose the 10 journey option. Select now Metrobus 10 journey ticket. It is a ticket valid for 10 trips on either Madrid Metro or Madrid buses. It can be shared by several people. Every time someone takes a trip paying with a card, one trip is discounted from the total credit of 10. It is much cheaper than buying an individual ticket. To use the Madrid Airport line, you need to pay a special extra charge. This charge applies to trips leaving the airport and entering the airport. Be very careful, the extra charge is only valid on the day of purchase, so don't rush and don't buy yet the extra charge for your return trip to the airport. You need one extra charge for each person traveling with you. As we are 2, I am going to select 2 and touch on Accept. On the next screen, there is a summary of the purchase. You are paying $2.50 for the reusable multi-card, $8.50 for the Metrobus 10 trips, and 2 airport extra charge at $3 each. Metrobus 10 journey trips is at a reduced price at the moment due to a government initiative. It is quite likely that after June 2023 the ticket will go back to its normal price of $12.20. On the upper part of the screen you can see the total you have to pay. Touch on Accept. If you'd like a receipt, touch on Yes. If you don't, touch on No. And now it's time to pay. You can use banknotes, coins or a card. Once you have finished your purchase, the multi-card will appear in the tray at the bottom of the machine. Don't forget it, and don't forget any change the machine may have given you. If you already have a multi-card from a previous time in Madrid, on the initial screen, choose Insert your transport card. Insert the card in the corresponding part of the machine and follow the same process we have just explained. Do not throw away the multi-card. You can reuse it again and again to top up your tickets to move around Madrid. Paying with a Metrobus 10 journeys, if you leave the airport by metro, you will pay $3.70 until June 2023, $4.22 from June onwards, as well as the $2.50 to buy the multi-card. You will only have to buy one as it can be used by several people at the same time. If you don't go out on the street, if you continue inside the stations, you won't pay if you change metro lines. You will only spend one ticket to go from the airport to your destination. Let's see how to validate the ticket. To enter the metro station, you have to hold your multi-card up to the green reader at the barrier and wait for the doors to open. In the case of several people traveling together with a single multi-card, it is very easy, as you will see now. The person holding the multi-card stands next to the barrier, validates for one person to enter, and repeats the operation as many times as necessary, going through last. Now let's look at the airport train. There is only one station at the airport in Terminal T4. Madrid Airport is served by 2 lines of Renfe Cercanías trains, the Madrid Metropolitan trains. The lines are the C1 and the C10, and the good news is that the route to the center of Madrid is exactly the same for both lines. You can get on any train that is about to leave the airport. As the airport is the first station on the line, you cannot go wrong. The first station is in Terminal 4. The train then leaves the airport and stops at Valdebebas. The next station is Fuente de la Mora. Then it continues to Chamartín station, the departure point for high-speed train routes to Castilla y León, Galicia, and some routes to Valencia and the Mediterranean coast. Then come Nuevos Ministerios, Recoletos, and Atocha, the main station for high-speed trains. Then there is Méndez Álvaro, which is next to Estación Sur de Autobuses, one of the main bus stations in Madrid. Then Delicias, Pirámides, and finally Line C1 ends its route at Príncipe Pío. Line C10 continues out of the city. The Madrid airport train operates from Monday to Sunday, even on public holidays, from 6 a.m. until almost midnight, but it is essential that you check the timetables on the date of your journey if you plan to use a train at the beginning or end of the operating hours. We'll look at how to buy tickets from the machines next, but if you want to pay with a contactless card, look for a barrier with the identification you will now see on the screen. Bring the card up and enter the station. You will have to do the same at the destination station. The system will calculate the distance traveled and debit your card for the amount of the journey. A single card can be used to pay for the journeys of several people. The advantage of this method of payment is that you forget about the purchase process at the machines. If you want to take advantage of the Combinado Cercanías, a benefit of Renfe and Irio for those who are going to take a high-speed train in the next 4 hours, look for an entrance barrier with a QR code reader and bring the QR code on your ticket as shown in the image. The barrier will open and you will travel for free. Let's go to the machines to see how to buy tickets. Renfe has two different types of machines. The ones you have to use are the grey ones with a red part and the words Cercanía Renfe on the screen at the top of the machine. The airport train ticket is individual. You have to buy as many tickets as people traveling with you. Choose the English language on the bottom right corner of the screen. The translation of the messages is incomplete, but that's Renfe for you. Select Adulto Ida. We are buying a single ticket. On the next screen, you will be asked whether you want to use the Renfe M2 card. If you don't live in Madrid, you won't have one. Touch on No. A message in Spanish advises you to keep the card as it can be reused. Touch on Yes. We are now going to simulate how to reach Atocha station, but the process would be the same for any other station. In spite of being probably the most commonly chosen destination here at the airport, the station doesn't appear on the initial screen. Touch the other station's yellow button on the left. Look for Atocha, it appears listed in alphabetical order, touch on it. You will see a summary of your purchase. If you wanted to purchase more than one ticket, this would be the place to increase the quantity. Touch on Confirm and select how you want to pay for your purchase. You can pay with card, coins or banknotes. Once the payment is complete, the card and any change due will appear on a slot at the bottom of the machine. You will have in your hands an Renfe M2 card loaded with a single ticket from Madrid Airport to Atocha station. One card for each person traveling with you, of course. If you had bought two, you would have two cards. At the end of the trip, do not throw the card away. You can use it on the return trip to the airport when you won't have to pay to buy the card again. Even if it's cheap, there is no need to pay twice. Unlike the Tarjeta Multi, the Renfe M2 card is individual and cannot be shared. Each passenger must have one. In 2023, the one-way trip to the center of Madrid costs €2.60. Remembering that if you don't have the Renfe M2 card, it will cost you 50 cents to buy it. Let's see how to use the airport train. First, locate the station gate, which is just to the right of the ticket machines with the word Renfe in large letters. A board indicates the departure times of the next trains. To validate your journey, bring your Renfe M2 card close to the reader, both on entering the airport and on leaving at your destination station. To get to the platform where you take the train, you will go down escalators or take a lift. Renfe uses different types of trains on airport routes. The high-capacity double-deckers are quite uncomfortable for those traveling with luggage. Get on the train, sit down and relax. It should take you less than 30 minutes to get to Atocha if that's your destination. Madrid Airport has an express bus called Línea Express Aeropuerto, which takes you directly to the center of Madrid. In fact, it is the only bus line that leaves the airport and goes to the city center. It stops at T4, T2 and T1 arrivals. It departs from Madrid, first stopping at O'Donnell, then at Cibeles, and finally arriving at Atocha. The airport express line operates 24 hours a day from Monday to Sunday, but you should be aware that from 11:30 p.m. to 6 a.m. the Atocha stop is out of service and the bus only goes to Cibeles. The journey between the airport and Atocha should not take more than 14 minutes, depending on traffic conditions. The buses are yellow and have 24-hour express signs in the windows. The single ticket costs €5 without discounts and is only valid for travel on the express line. Madrid public transport tickets are not valid on this bus. You buy the ticket from the driver, who is only obliged to give you change for €20. You can also pay for your journey by a credit card or mobile phone by bringing them up to the reader on the left of the driver. The bus has space for luggage, so you can take large suitcases on board. As it is quite popular, it can get quite crowded at the bus stop, especially if you wait for it at T1 when it arrives loaded with passengers who took it earlier at T4 and T2. In addition to the express line, there are two other local bus lines leaving the airport for Madrid, the 101 and the 200. Line 101, which uses minibuses, departs from the city of Barajas, passes through terminals 2 and 1 of the airport and goes to Canillejas, where it is possible to connect with the Madrid Metro outside the airport without having to pay the airport extra charge. Line 101 does not go to T4. If you are getting on the 101, make sure you get on in the direction you want to travel. If you want to go to Canillejas, do not get on the bus going towards Barajas. The local bus line 200 departs from T4, stops at T2 and T1, then at Canillejas and continues its journey to the Avenida de América interchange, with several metro lines and connections to long-distance buses. In both lines, you can buy a ticket from the driver, who is only obliged to give you change for €5. The price of a single ticket is €150. If you pay for that trip with a Metrobus 10 trip ticket, the trip would cost you €122, or now in the first half of 2023, 85 cents. If you don't have a multi-card with a Metrobus 10 trip ticket loaded on it, you will have to go to any of the metro stations at the airport to get one. In the section on the metro, we explain how to buy one. The only difference is that to leave the airport by conventional bus, you don't have to pay the airport extra charge. Lines 101 and 200 are an interesting option for those who are already familiar with Madrid, do not travel with a lot of luggage, and want to make a connection with the metro, saving the €3 of the airport extra charge. These two lines are the only ones in Madrid public transport system on which you can take large suitcases. If you exit the airport by metro, paying with a Metrobus 10 trips, you will normally spend $122 plus 3, $422 to get anywhere in Madrid by metro. If you take the 101 or 200 bus and connect with the metro at Canillejas, you will pay $122 for the bus and $122 for the metro, a total of $244, and you will also get anywhere in Madrid by metro. It's a small saving. And since we're talking about buses, and although the main purpose of the video is to explain how to get to the center of Madrid, it is worth mentioning that many long-distance bus lines depart from Madrid airport to other cities in Spain. All of these lines operate out of a new bus terminal that it is close to T4. It is a new infrastructure, very nice, which puts an end to the chaos that sometimes was the former boarding and disembarking in the external area of T4. Most of the long-distance buses that depart from the airport do so from the T4 bus station. In the final part of the video, we will explain you how to get there. let's talk about taxis and VTCs, which is the Spanish name for ride-sharing services. Taxis are one of the transport options for getting out of Madrid airport. Madrid taxis are easy to identify, white with a red stripe on the front doors. What sets what you will pay for the taxi is the location of the address you are heading to. Calle 30, better known as M30, M30, is a ring road around Madrid within which you will find the city center and all the neighborhoods where we recommend you look for accommodation. Journeys from the airport to inside the M30 have a fixed fare of 30 euros at any time of the day or night. The taxi driver cannot add any charge on top of these 30 euros. You will pay 30 euros, that's it. Journeys from the airport to outside the M30 when the distance is under 9.5 kilometers have a fixed cost of 20 euros. When the distance is greater, the fare is 20 euros plus whatever the taximeter shows. The above fares apply both to departing from and returning to the airport. If you are not sure whether your accommodation is inside or outside the M30, please ask us. Each of the terminals at Madrid Airport has a well-signposted taxi rank. In addition to standard taxis, Madrid's taxi fleet has large taxis which carry up to 8 passengers. In direct competition with taxis are the services of VTCs, the ride-sharing services. Right now, the main ride-sharing companies providing services at Madrid Airport are Bolt, Cabify and Uber. As you may already know, they do not work with fixed price but with dynamic fares. You will now see on the screen the prices that the app of each company gave us for the Airport Puerta del Sol ride. We asked for prices at 2 different times of the day for each of the companies. Even in the most expensive time frame, the prices were lower than the 30 euros fixed taxi fare. The advantage of ride-sharing platforms is the price. The disadvantage is that to get to the boarding points, you will have to walk a bit, as we will explain in a moment. We have already seen the main means of transport for leaving the airport. We are now going to look at the specific instructions for leaving each terminal. Remember that if you arrive at T3, you will exit through T2, and if you arrive at T4S, you will exit through T4. If you arrive at T1, you can exit on the Airport Express line or by conventional buses 101 and 200. You could take a taxi or use a ride-sharing company. You could leave by metro walking to T2, or you could take the shuttle bus that connects the terminals to leave the train from T4. Once you have collected your luggage and gone out into the public part of the airport, you will see signs right in front of you with directions to public transport. It's very easy. Let's first go outside the Terminal 1 building. On the one side you will see the taxi rank. On the other side, the stop for the express line first, and for buses 101 and 200, both in the direction of Canillejas, a little further on. If you want to take a transfer shuttle to a hotel, the stop is just on the other side of the Linea Express. If you want to take a ride-sharing service, continue walking in the direction of the open-air car park, where you will need to look at the instructions your app gives you to find out which module the company you want to use operates in. Let's see how to get out of T1 by metro. While we show you on the screen the path you have to complete, we remind you that there is no metro station in T1. You have to walk to T2, where the nearest station is. Here we have good news and bad news. Which do you want first? The good news is that the walk to the metro station in T2 is very easy and well signposted. There is no way you can get lost. The bad news is that it is a long way, so if you are traveling with heavy luggage, think twice, you might get very tired. When you arrive at the metro station, you will see that there are many machines where you can buy tickets, as well as a ticket office with metro employees. Finally, if you want to take the bus to T4, you will have to go up to the level of the departures and out to the outside of the building where the bus stop is. You can go to T4 to take the train out of the airport or to take a long distance bus. If you arrive at T2, you can leave from the Airport Express line by conventional buses 101 or 200 in a taxi. using a ride-sharing service by metro, or you could take the bus to T4 to leave by train or long-distance buses. Once you have collected your luggage and reached the public part of the airport, go outside the building. You will immediately find the taxi rank, and if you cross to the other side of the street, there is a stop where the Airport Express line, the 101 and 200 buses, and the hotel shuttle stop. Taxis on one side and all the above mentioned transport on the other. If you want to take a ride-sharing service, you'll have to follow the instructions given by the app. To get out by metro, walk inside the terminal, following the signs. You will have to walk again, but this time less than when you left T1. The last big corridor leading to the metro station is the same as the one we walked down when we came from T1. If you want to take the bus to T4, you will have to go up to the departures level to take the bus to T4. You will follow the same route to the metro, except that in the final corridor you will pay attention to the sign we are showing you now, which shows you the way to the stop. If you take the shuttle terminal bus from the arrivals level, it will take you longer because at that stop it goes in the direction of T1. That's why we advise you to go up to the departures and take the shuttle bus going directly to T4. And finally, let's leave from T4. If you arrive at T4, you can leave by train, you can leave by metro, you can take a taxi, you can take the Airport Express line, you can take the bus to the other terminals, you can take the conventional bus 200, you could take a ride-sharing car, or you could take a long-distance bus. Once you have collected your luggage and reached the public part of the airport, look for the signs that show you the way to all the transport alternatives. To exit by metro or train, the way is very similar. Go down a ramp. When you come off the ramp, on the right, there is a booth where you can buy tickets for the metro from an employee of the company. Continue walking to get to the metro entrance and then to the train entrance. The metro entrance is the first entrance on the left, while the train entrance is after it. If you walk straight ahead and exit the airport building, you will find, first on the right, the T4 taxi rank. If you keep walking and turn left, you will come to the place where the hotel shuttles stop. But if you turn right, you will first see the stop for the Airport Express line, then the green shuttle bus that connects the terminals, and finally the initial stop for line 200. To get to the long distance bus terminal and the ride-sharing cars, you will have to cross to the car park building, which is outside the main terminal. The path is well signposted, as you can see now on the screen. At the end of the walkway that connects the terminal with the parking building, the path splits. If you want to take a ride-sharing car, then turn left. If you want to take a bus, turn right. We go first to the bus station and then back to show you the way to the cars. To get to the bus station, you'll have to walk quite a way, but fortunately the path is easy, very well signposted, and mostly has moving walkways so you don't get so tired. When you get to the terminal, look on the screens for the location of the door through which you will have to board your bus and rest until departure time. Let's go back now to look at the ride-sharing cars. Each company has a specific parking module assigned to it. Let's go to take a Uber. To go to the others, you would follow a similar path. Enter the elevator and go to the 4th floor, and when you get out of the lift, you will find the boarding point right away. For the other companies, check in with your app which parking module corresponds to them. And now it's time to compare the means of transport that allow you to travel from Madrid airport to the city center. Here we go. The Madrid Metro has stations at T2 and T4. It runs from 6 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. It takes you anywhere in Madrid. Paying with a Metrobus 10 journey, it will cost you $3.70 right now, usually $4.22. If you had to buy a Tarjeta Multi, the card will cost you $2.50. With a tourist card, the Airport Metro and the Multi card are free. The good thing about the Airport Metro is that it takes you to places other means of transport won't go. We do not recommend it for those traveling with heavy luggage. Also, the Metro does not go directly to the city center. You will always have to make a connection, and the journey time can be quite long. The airport train has a station at T4. It runs from 6 a.m. to midnight. It takes you to the Atocha region and other specific points in the center of Madrid. The ticket costs $2.60 plus 50 cents the first time you travel on it, which is the cost of the Renfe 2 card. The strong point of the train is that it is the cheapest form of transport and arrives quickly in the Atocha area. With connections, it allows you to continue onto the Puerta del Sol and Gran Via area. We just don't recommend it for those traveling with heavy luggage. The express line has stops at T1, T2 and T4. It operates 24 hours a day. It serves well the regions of Cibeles and Atocha. It is a 24-hour transport, fast and adapted for travelers with luggage. We do not recommend it to anyone who is not staying along the line. Local lines 101 and 200 have stops at T1 and T2, and in the case of 200 at T4 as well. They run from 6 a.m. to nearly midnight. They go to Barajas, Canillejas and the Avenida de America interchange. If you pay with a Metrobus 10 journeys, the ticket now costs 85 cents, usually $1.22. It can be good for those who travel with little luggage, are familiar with Madrid, and want to connect with the airport metro, which is paid for separately. We do not recommend it for those who travel with heavy luggage or are not familiar with Madrid. Taxis are available at all terminals. They operate 24 hours a day and they will take you anywhere in Madrid. For those going to the city center, they have a fixed fare of 30 euros. It is a safe, fast and comfortable transport, good for those traveling with luggage or in a group, but it is the most expensive alternative. Finally, ride-sharing companies such as Bolt, Cabify or Uber have boarding points at T1, T2 and T4. They operate 24 hours a day and they take you anywhere in Madrid. The fare depends on what the app shows. The fares are dynamic. It is a safe and fast transport and good for those traveling with luggage, and it is usually cheaper than the taxis. However, it is a bit more work to get to the boarding points than to the taxi ranks. And now for the final piece of advice, which we also gave in the video explaining how to leave Barcelona airport. Please take it very seriously. On all the above mentioned transport, take extreme care with your personal belongings. Madrid is a very touristy city and pickpockets are always on the lookout for an opportunity. On the journey from the airport to your accommodation, you are in a particularly vulnerable situation. You may not know the city, you will probably be traveling with luggage, so you will have to be extra careful. The basic advice is carry your passport, money and mobile phone in an internal pocket that it is difficult to access. And if you feel you won't have enough hands to take care of each of the pieces of luggage you are carrying, and an extra hand to hold on to the railing during transport, choose a less risky form of transport, such as a taxi or a ride-sharing service, even if it's more expensive. Madrid is a wonderful city. Don't let theft spoil your trip. And that brings us to the end of the video. We have mentioned the values of transport now at the beginning of 2023, and in the description of the video and in the first posted comment we will update those prices whenever changes occur. As always, if you have any questions, please use the commentary box to ask, especially if you would like to know how to get to your hotel. But if you ask us what is the best way to get to such and such hotel, we would be grateful if you could qualify what best means to you. The best way for us is almost always by taxi or ride-sharing service, but as it is the most expensive, we almost never use it. Knowing what best means for you, we will be able to help you better. You will now see on the screen a video that will help you a lot to prepare your trip to Madrid, with tips to help you make the most of your time in the Spanish capital. We'll see you in that video.